Do you want salmon?
Do I want salmon is the first question. Yes. Coming from my wife, my lovely wife, was going to make me a nice salmon salad. Yes, I'd like salmon on my salad. Thank you. D. Moore. Good morning. When will your large bucket of aloe vera be available for purchase again? Oh, you got to start with the zingers. So we've made some changes, and we are no longer processing in Guatemala. And although I own over 6,000 empty buckets ready to be filled and a whole pallet of the bag liners that go in those buckets, they're in Guatemala right now. They're not coming here anytime soon. And we don't have a filling station in Florida for the buckets. So if we bring it back, it's going to take some time. We'd probably start by ordering new supplies from China, which would take about 6 months to get in. And that really kicks it down the road quite a bit. So I don't see the buckets coming back anytime soon. We're kind of in a little testing phase to see how it goes without them. But we'll find out, and if it remains in demand, we'll bring them back. We'll find a way. I have no idea what this is about, but I love your products. Thank you. And you like salmon too. Very nice, Heidi. Yeah, so really we're just here to answer some of the questions as they come in, because we've made so many changes. Our aloe used to come from Dominican Republic, and they don't anymore. We switched to Guatemala, and we had some interesting challenges along the way. The first freight container full of aloe from Guatemala was the best aloe we ever had, except for what we have now. And it was so thick, it was clean, it was delicious, but it got held up in customs, which we paid over $700 a day storage while it was held up for over 3 weeks. When we got it delivered here, we found out there was a error on the freezer temperature setting, and it was refrigerated for all of those weeks instead of frozen. So it was at the end of the shelf life. We paid for the aloe. We paid for transportation here. We paid all of the storage fees. We paid customs duties and taxes, and then we threw it all away. And we've had similar challenges. And we're not saying that we'll never process or produce with Guatemala. It would certainly be a lot easier than what we're doing now. But that's what happened, why we're not processing in Guatemala currently. If we choose to go back, we're just going to have to really make sure no errors happen, because we've thrown actually 2 freight containers from Guatemala away. We had one that everything worked out just right. And with that, I'm going to talk a little bit funny on how we decided to start processing in Florida. It might seem kind of humorous. And a lot of people know that, well, I believe in God and have a faith, and I try to do the things that are right and be directed by Him. This is one where we were kind of, kicking and fighting and saying, hey, if this is a test and how far can I be stretched? I can be stretched pretty far. And so far we've thrown, actually 2.5 freight containers away. So, God, maybe you're just testing me and we'll be all right. And so I would keep on sourcing from Guatemala. And if George is listening, I was in church one day and George asked me, how's the business? And I started telling him some of the things, and, I'm laughing a little bit about it. And, well, why don't you produce in Florida? I said, well, and even on this one today, we're being challenged. We're sourcing from Florida, and tomorrow the temperature is supposed to get down to 38 degrees in Florida. See, the farm is a little further north of where we are. If it gets to 32 degrees, there's a good chance that a lot of the aloe will die. If it gets down to about 30 degrees, it'll pretty much all die and wipe out the farm. So that is a definite challenge for us, because it would take a few years to to regrow a farm, maybe even 5 years. So producing from Florida is a little risky. And at this time of year, the aloe goes kind of dormant in Florida and kind of stops growing. So we have our challenges producing in Florida. Also, we don't know if the farm is big enough to meet our needs. It could probably sustain us where we're at, but all of a sudden we're producing this amazing aloe vera and the demand is going up. So I don't know if the farm, if a 32-acre farm will sustain our growth. So those are the challenges. And when I told my friend that and kind of laughed, he said, "So what you're telling me, Mike, is if you produce in Florida, you're going to have to trust God." And that's when I kind of laughed and said, okay, that makes sense because producing from the big farms in the far south, Guatemala, Dominican Republic, I didn't have to worry about the weather. I didn't have to worry about not having enough farmland because our farms are huge, hundreds of acres. All of a sudden, now I have some things to actually say, oh, now I actually have to trust God. So that is where we're at. And thank you, D Moore. So sorry that happened. It was challenging, but it was okay too. Now I always felt that all things work out for the good, and that has happened. And just for a goof, I'm going to show you some of the results. I've got a bottle of aloe here, which I love this sound. Nice, thick, goopy sound. And I'm going to pour it in this glass, and you can see how thick it is. Now, it is interesting. I have had some people say that it's very bitter. Most people say they can't taste it at all. But I think what the taste is actually like, aloe's from the garlic and onion family. So there's almost a slight garlic and onion taste. And I'm going to see how this one tastes. And this is from our most recent harvest, which was last Friday. And it's a slight garlic onion flavor. The other thing you might have noticed when I poured it, there was little chunks, and it's almost like little corn-sized beads of aloe, which that's just what our grinder does. It doesn't have the ability to totally pulverize it down into a liquid. And at first, we were concerned about that, but then we realized again that's the hand of God because we ended up with an even better product closer to the field. And what that does, those little beads of aloe, they kind of retain their complete nutrient structure. Whereas once it's pulverized and all the enzymes are fully released, they kind of digest it down into a thinner liquid, breaking it down, changing it from what it's like in the field. So, absolutely great. Someone's saying there's no video. Okay, so let me see if I can fix that. And give me just a minute here. All right, officially back. And if everyone lost it and didn't come back, then maybe I can arrange some kind of replay. But I still got a bunch of questions that I haven't answered yet. So I guess I get to do another demonstration. This is the aloe that we harvested on Friday, and this is the thickness of it. And if you look carefully, you see the chunks that are in it that you almost have to chew when you drink it. So, I actually had one of the biggest chunks I've ever had. And I definitely had to chew it. Now, we're going to answer one of the most common questions we've had in the past few weeks. I'm holding up two bottles here. And notice this one is pink. People always want to know, why did the aloe turn pink? Is it safe? And I'm going to pour some in this glass. And if I die before this video is over, it's not safe. Actually, it's very safe. And we've studied this as best as we can. Let me just drink some and see if I can even taste the difference. To me, it tastes the same. A lot of people tell us it's better when it's pink, but it tastes the same to me. So, what makes it turn pink? We don't really know. We have tested it, and we actually found that if I let this get to room temperature, it'll turn clear again. And I actually have a time lapse video on YouTube showing that. And you can find that if you go to our frequently asked questions on HaleyNutrition.com, find the one about pink aloe, you'll see that time lapse video. It was about 4 hours where it went from pink to clear. We've sent it to the laboratory for testing. The laboratory that was recommended to us by the International Aloe Science Council, because that's who they have test aloe for various brands. And they haven't quite figured it out. What we do know is it's because it's not decolorized and deodorized. If we put it through all those processes, it wouldn't turn pink. We suspect it might be something like an isomer in chemistry. Things change, molecules change, and they exchange things. And we feel it might be somewhat temperature related, creating that change and flipping back and forth based on temperature, not affecting the nutrition properties of the aloe. And that we've tested it for nutrient levels when it was pink. We've also tested microbiology. Is it microbiology? We haven't found any bad microbiology in it when it's pink. We haven't found any more microbiology in it when it's pink compared to when it's clear. So it seems to be a very normal phenomena. We've seen it in coconut water. Raw coconut water will sometimes turn pink. So that's what we know about pink aloe. Now, let me see. We've got a lot of people chiming in here. Someone said it's in a spinning loop. I hear you. I see you and hear you. Okay, thank you, D. Moore. I'm here. I can see you with a slight echo. Sorry about that. How can you make delivery to Canada possible and fast? We've had a challenge with Canada because things haven't been delivering on time. And in the frozen food industry, that just doesn't work. It's not consistent. The challenge seems to be mostly with customs and people paying duties and taxes on time, and long contracts that are required that people don't want to get into to have their products delivered. So we send them out. People are afraid of the 4-page contract, and the duties and taxes don't get paid. So the products don't get delivered on time. They spoil and we lose. So because of that, we stopped shipping to Canada for now. We could probably do it if people purchased the postage and took care of all the delivery arrangements for us or something like that. We just don't have a plan for it right now. All right, more questions. Oh, what did I mean in the email when I said our future is uncertain? Really, it's the fact that the farm's not necessarily big enough, and if there's a freeze, we have that challenge that it could kill all of the aloe. And then also, it just so happens that we're sourcing from a farm that is for sale. Uh, I don't feel called to quite take something that big, a farm. And at the same time, if someone new comes in and buys it, I don't know that we're still going to have that relationship. If it doesn't work out, well, we'll find something that will work, whether it's going back to Guatemala or somewhere else, and working with them and doing our best to get it right. Are the fields organic? The fields are not organic. Now, what does that mean? It means they're not certified organic. Pretty much all aloe vera is organic. Even the brands that don't have any kind of label on it, don't say that they're grown organically, or don't have the certified organic labels on them. Aloe vera is kind of unique. It doesn't require pesticides, herbicides, fungicides. It just grows. And it has a very bitter outer leaf that kind of stops things from invading it. So it really doesn't need any chemistry. Typically, to deal with the weeds, this is how we do it here in Florida. This is how it was done in Dominican Republic. This is how it was done in Guatemala. They use rakes and they rake out the leaves. In the Dominican Republic, they would actually bunch up the weeds and put them on top of the plants to act as a little shade so that they wouldn't get scorched by the sun. That seemed to be very effective. So not only were they using rakes and hoes to get rid of the weeds, but they kind of use them for good. Is our aloe genetically modified? I don't think there is such a thing as GMO aloe. I've certainly never heard of anyone trying to modify it, and there would definitely not be a reason to. Usually, people genetically modify things to deal with pests. You know, they try to want to, they want to kill the bugs or whatever the case is. And if we have it making its own pesticide, well, then the bugs can't eat it. As is the case with the genetically modified corn. We don't have that challenge with the aloe. So I wouldn't see them ever trying to do something like that. I don't think they would try to make it grow in the freezing area. That could be a genetic modified idea, right? But that wouldn't make a lot of sense because it primarily comes from the Caribbean, the Texas, not even Texas. Texas is a little bit too north, but it comes from Mexico, Guatemala, Dominican Republic, those areas. Is it the Stockton variety? Yes. The Florida farms are definitely the Stockton variety. I've inspected it myself. I can tell the difference between the various aloe vera varieties. And I think what has happened is people like us and others have spread out the Stockton variety that's mostly what's available now. I did go to Lowe's and look at their aloe vera, and it was not the Stockton variety. Not at this time. Years ago, there was a season when it was because our farmer in Dominican Republic was supplying Lowe's with all the little babies. So we definitely got that Stockton variety out there, and most people are using it right now. I actually do believe that is the best variety of aloe vera, but I don't think it's our strong point for why our aloe's the best. I think it's, harvesting the mature plants, hand filleting to bleed out the aloe in, and then not filtering it is really the number one way to keep it the most potent. When you filter this stuff, and you get this thin, clear liquid out, you've taken a lot of the nutrition out. Other brands aren't diluting it, they're not adding water, but by taking the nutrients out and taking the pulp out and all the things they take out of it, they're essentially diluting it or making it more watery. There are some brands that you can't even tell the difference between water and aloe when it comes to thickness and taste and appearance, because it is so filtered. But people still somehow get results with even those. Let me check this feed. Oh, you didn't drink the pink aloe. Yes, you can. You can eat it. You can drink it. Is your aloe healing for skin conditions like psoriasis, dermatitis, etc.? Yeah, so the skin is very much like the gut. People drink aloe for healing the gut, and it's a very similar kind of tissue, an epithelial tissue that eats and drinks, really. Your skin kind of absorbs nutrition and also excretes waste, just like your gut does, because they're so similar. And aloe is actually proven to accelerate healing on the skin. in cases of things like radiation burns and sunburns. And science kind of shows that it cuts the healing time in half. It's not as proven in the gut, but there's more clinical evidence that aloe vera is healing gut conditions. They have done some research on things like, SIBO and stuff like that, and it's been, really positive research. I think what's happening in the gut is being more mucosal. I think it's using the aloe even better than when you put it on your skin. So it's definitely proven for the skin. Now, I wouldn't put this drink on my skin. I mean, I would, but I wouldn't put it on and go out in public because it's going to be messy and it's going to be a lot of pulp because we blended the aloe and we released the pulp and we never took the pulp out. If I put it in my hair and let it dry, it's going to be a mess. People put aloe in their hair, but they take a cut of the fillet and they don't grind it up and they kind of use it like a bar of soap and let the slimy stuff go into their scalp and into their hair, but not the pulp. Once you blend it, it's all pulpy and it's going to be messy. I would cut a leaf and I would use the fillet and put it on my skin. And I've demonstrated that in a video. If you want to see that video, by the way, dare I say, the title of the video, which you're certain to find me talking about it, answering one of our most common questions, but I demonstrate how to put it on your skin on this. One of the common questions we get is, can you use aloe vera in your vagina? So if you look up on YouTube, raw aloe in my vagina, it's going to actually show you how to put aloe on your face, on your skin, and how to actually use the plant. And yes, I answer that other question as well. And thank you, Percy Faith 7. It says, thank you. Your skin looks good. Thank you. Is it okay to put in a fruit smoothie? I did this morning. Yes. When you're putting it in the smoothie, when you put aloe in the blender, it kind of struggles. And if I put this in the blender, it's also going to foam up. And if you want to get rid of the chunks, it's okay to do that, but it'll literally increase about 5 times or more in size. That could be a problem. But if you let it sit for about 10 minutes, it'll go back down to the normal size. So yes, you can definitely put aloe in the blender. I would recommend you make your fruit smoothie first and then flash blend the aloe in at the end so you don't foam it up. If you have your blender on when you pour it in, you'll notice when you pour the aloe into the blender, you'll hear the motor struggle. So it's probably not good for your blender because it's so thick. So your aloe saved my life years ago. Thank you for sharing. And that's one of the most humbling things I can hear. Um, and I'm blessed to hear that frequently. In fact, I saved something that someone sent by email just a week ago. It says, I love your product already. I'm drinking it and seeing healing on my skin that was burned. Thank you so much for making such a quality product. And I've had so many people say things like that. I shouldn't even say over the years. It's almost daily. And it's humbling and it's a blessing. And it's why I chose to do what I do. Rodney Stockton used to bring this aloe into the office and say, you got to give this to anyone that has cancer. And I thought he was crazy until I gave it to someone that had cancer and saw miracles. And Rodney Stockton, who we named it after just to continue his legacy, Stockton Aloe 1, and doesn't have the pound sign in there. He said number 1. It has to be number 1. The problem with number 1 is it doesn't work well with the internet. But we wanted to maintain it as close to what he wanted. So we have the number 1 in there. Well, when he had died at 96 years old in 2009, the company started struggling And Joan Stockton, Rodney's former wife, had contacted me wanting help. And I stepped in really just to kind of help the company and get it back on the right path, never intending to take over the brand. And I realized if I didn't, the brand was done. So I stepped in really to save a product because someone had to. And he had all of these testimonials, all these cancer testimonials. And I decided if I'm going to save the company, I'm never going to talk about cancer because certainly you'll get shut down if you talk about cancer online, and then the FDA will come after you and they're going to shut you down. I started following up with a bunch of the testimonials, expecting that everyone that he had on video and documents that had come in, I thought, oh well, he probably got it when they were in remission, and I thought, isn't that what happens? People go in remission, and then the cancer comes back a year later and kills them. That's what I thought until I talked to all these people that said, no, that aloe saved my life, and in some cases it was 30 years ago, 10 years ago, a lot of years ago. And in some cases, I was given 2 weeks left to live. So I realized then, okay, I'm not going to necessarily say aloe cures cancer. It doesn't. Aloe doesn't cure cancer. And chemotherapy doesn't cure cancer. Nothing cures cancer. So I'm not going to ever say aloe, cures cancer. What I will say is you can cure cancer. Your body can cure cancer. I don't have known cancer right now, but I probably have cancer cells that my body is getting rid of right now. And there's things you can do to improve the way your body does that. And aloe vera happens to have nutrients in it that increases tumor necrosis factor, interferons, interleukins, and things that help your body recognize cancer cells to get rid of. And there is research that shows chemotherapy versus chemotherapy and aloe. And the chemotherapy with aloe group did a lot better than just the chemotherapy group. So I could talk about those things, but I will never say aloe cures cancer, and I wouldn't want anyone to ever believe that either, because if so, then really you're using it like a drug. You're saying, "Oh, I'm just going to kill the cancer or cure it or whatever, and then I'm going to go back and live my life the way I was." And I would say anyone that needed to cure cancer needs a lifestyle change. You want to change a lot of things so that you're living a healthy lifestyle, because that's how your body can fight cancer better when it's working more like it's supposed to. So you don't ever want a drug that cures cancer, because as soon as you stop taking the drug, the cancer will come back. So that's my uh, anti-cancer soapbox. My digestion was ruined and it got me back to normal. We hear that a lot. And there's something about it. It definitely is clinically known to help digestion. And there's some science to support that as well. With active cancer, I've heard you say take 8 ounces 3 times a day, but I'm only 106 pounds. Yeah. Should I adjust it to match my weight? You know, uh, that was a guideline. Rodney had always said 3 cups of aloe a day, and you'll be fine. Again, we're not treating cancer, so I can't say that. What I would tell you is I'd have 3 cups a day or glasses full of aloe a day if I had cancer. Sometimes I do that anyway. But well, a big person, needs does should probably need more than a small person that's 106 pounds versus someone that's 200. And it does make sense, a bigger glass for a bigger person. So a guideline, if you were saying I wanted 3 full glasses a day, would be probably 1 ounce for every 20 pounds of body weight 3 times a day. So a 100-pound person, that would be like 5 ounces 3 times a day. And a 200-pound person would be like 10 ounces 3 times a day. So that's how we could, and then that also helps you. Well, what if I was, for a dog? Okay, 20-pound dog, 1 ounce. And for most people, I suggest, especially in their first week of drinking aloe, and if they're just drinking it for general health purposes, I usually recommend one full glass a day. And what you had mentioned with active cancer, you've heard 3 glasses a day. Well, they're taking my daily recommendations and multiplying it by 3. But I usually recommend a full glass a day, 1 ounce for every 20 pounds for people that are brand new for the first week so they can figure out what it's doing for them. Then they want to know, well, how much should I drink after that? Well, now you kind of know what it's doing for you. And then I think you should decide. And to help people get to the right number, because I believe we have all the information we need from God coming into our life. And we just have to somehow take it out of the subconscious and bring it into our consciousness and listen to that. And then we're going to make better decisions in life. So I like to play a little mental gymnastic with people and say, when they say, how much should I have? I like to say, well, you should drink a whole bottle every day. Wow, that seems like a lot. I was just kidding. Get a teaspoon and just 1 teaspoon per day. Well, that doesn't seem like enough. What were you hoping I would say? And someone might say, well, I was thinking like 3 ounces a day, or I was thinking 5 ounces a day, or whatever it is, or I was thinking 1 ounce 3 times a day. Well, if that's what you were hoping I would say, that's probably the right amount for you. And that's kind of a mental gymnastic for you to figure out what you probably should be doing. And you can do that with any food or supplement almost. Don't get yourself into trouble. Don't exceed um, maximum allowable amounts of anything. I was hoping you would say 10 ibuprofen. No, you can't use it for drugs. That's for certain. Um, but if there's, of anything, if there's a don't exceed this amount, don't exceed it. But you're going to have a hard time with aloe. Also, I have to a little disclaimer: don't do that with other brands. You can, but have normal amounts for the first week so you can figure it out. And I had given the advice to someone with our aloe, go ahead and drink 3 full glasses a day. And I didn't realize that they had other aloe at their house that they were going to use before the aloe that they got from me. And that one had outer leaf in it. The outer leaf causes the runs. It's a laxative if you have too much. And it was meant to be consumed in tablespoons. And this person was drinking 2 glasses a day, couldn't do the third one because it was just too much. So when I'm talking about these larger amounts, I'm saying you can do it safely with this, not with other brands. Okay, let's go back to some of the questions that came in my email box. Is the aloe that we have now as good as what we were getting? I feel it is next level, meaning now that we actually have the chunks in it, it seems like our testimonials, our praises have increased, and people seem to be getting the same results with even less aloe. So, if we ever go back to processing in Guatemala or Dominican Republic or anything like that, I'm going to make sure that we process it more like this, which means less processed, less blended, more chunks. As soon as we switched to processing it like this, we had a good bunch of complaints. And it was really because it was different and people were concerned because I'm putting this in my mouth and I feel like I have to chew it. And I encourage people, to push through it, give it a week. You're probably going to love it. And I got a lot of calls back. You were right. We love it. It's definitely, better tasting. It seems like it's stronger, more potent. So I'm realizing the closer it is to the field, which means even with chunks of aloe in it, that seems to be what is the best for us. Why don't we have the bucket? We talked a little bit about that. Is it pink? If it's pink, is it bad? There's nothing wrong with it being pink. Check out the frequent asked questions for a more detailed explanation about it being pink. Oh, what is with the 2.5% discount? Did I get the discount? You'll you'll notice on our website it says log in, and if you don't have an account with us, create an account first and then log in. You'll notice that when you're logged in, the prices are 2.5% less. A lot of people are checking out as a guest. They're not creating an account and they're paying that additional 2.5%. I recommend you create the account and we might even increase it a little bit, the penalty for not having an account. Why is that? We went through some challenges of card checking on our website. What does that mean? That is when fraudsters steal credit card numbers. They'll go to websites and they will use those websites buying a cheap item to see if the credit card is still good. And then if they can make a purchase with it, they will sell that credit card for more and for more because oh, this one worked. It's not canceled yet, so people will pay a premium for that stolen credit card number. And our website was just being attacked. One of the ways we can decrease that attack is by requiring people to log in. So when we were requiring people to log in, um, as long as as long as it was done not during the order, like if you were checking out, yes, create an account while I'm checking out. But if you had to log in beforehand, then the fraudsters would stop checking the credit cards. Now, we have it to where you don't have to. You can check out as a guest again. Right now, they're leaving us alone, but at any moment, we might have to flip that switch. And for the people that don't have accounts, it creates a lot of confusion. So we're trying to give you an incentive to create an account because at any moment, we might flip the switch again and say, no, you have to create an account before you make a purchase because we have to stop people from using our website to check stolen credit cards. So that's the whole reason for the discount for logging in and having an account. And just it's a something that's helping us deal with bad people. And that also, why is it so hard to order on our website? The harder we make it, the less card checking we have because they're not willing to jump through the hoops to use our website to test stolen credit cards. Um, oh, we get this question a lot. Is it better to take aloe with or without food, before or after a meal, or does it not matter? Yes and no. I can make arguments for both. The Hippocrates Health Institute gave two groups supplements. One group got aloe with their supplements, and then they tested their blood nutrition for all the nutrients. And they found out that the group that had aloe with their supplements absorbed more nutrients or had more nutrition in their blood. So the thought is, well, when I have aloe with my food, I'm actually absorbing it better or absorbing the nutrition from it. That's theoretical, even though it's kind of demonstrated in a small scientific study. So we believe that's probably why Gerson type diets, where they're drinking 12 juices a day, are putting 1 ounce of aloe in each one, probably to absorb the nutrients from the juice better. Probably that and all of the anti cancer properties that are with it. So sometimes it would probably make sense to have aloe with your food. The other argument would be, yeah, but if I have it on an empty stomach, won't I absorb more of it? And then I'll have all the anti cancer benefits from the aloe. Well, what we have seen is people are getting the results that they want if they have it on a full stomach, empty stomach, before food, after food. It doesn't seem to make a difference. Theoretically, if you were going to drink 8 to 10 ounces a day, if you were going to, it would probably be better to have a few ounces in the morning, a few in the afternoon, and a few in the evening. Again, that's kind of a guess. If I had acid reflux and it was interfering with my ability to sleep, I might have my aloe at nighttime before I go to bed so that I can sleep better. And maybe a lot of the enzymes in the aloe will help digest the food better, and I won't have the acid reflux, and maybe I'll get through the night better. So, really, it's up to you. It seems to work no matter, it seems to do what it's supposed to do, regardless of when you have it, but just decide what's best for you. Can you speak about your skin products? It just so happens that I leave this one on my desk, and it is my favorite. And currently, it's the one that we have. We had others. We had the Ultra Healing Cream that a lot of people loved, but it created confusion, and people didn't know which to get. And they thought, well, because that had the bigger, badder name and it was more expensive, it was the better one. It was essentially this with a few other exquisite ingredients in it, like tremella mushroom and lavender essential oil, and it had bee propolis, uh, bee venom with propolis, and manuka honey. Well, those exquisite anti-aging ingredients have their own benefits, yet at the same time, even though they were great, organic sources and some of the best ingredients you could use, there were still more ingredients. And a lot of our customers have gut issues, leaky gut, and sensitivities. Well, the more ingredients you have, the more chances of an allergic reaction. And quite frankly, we're getting tremendous anti aging benefits with this aloe cream. Now, when it comes to aloe, I think the anti aging should be from the inside out primarily. But when you put it on your skin, getting great results with things like eczema and psoriasis. However, I just had a recent I read this 10 minutes ago where Emily said, "I love your product already. I'm drinking it and seeing healing on my skin that was burned." A lot of times when you drink it, you see the healing from the inside out, and including with things like eczema and psoriasis. So, there's nothing wrong with you know, combating something from the inside and outside. I'm primarily using this as a moisturizer. I'm a chiropractor. I'm always washing my hands between patients, and that can dry them and be a little irritating. So I'm reaching for this a few times a day. And yeah, so that's the Youth Derm Aloe Cream. This one was a lot more. It's 4 ounces instead of 2 ounces, like the Ultra Healing. You get a lot more, and it's less expensive. So we got rid of the other one for now, and we're just marketing this one. It's poorly marketed too. People don't know what it's for, but it's an all-purpose everything. I like to make good products. I'm not good at necessarily marketing them. Oh, can it be mixed in a smoothie? Can you speak about your skin products? Okay, let's go back to the other list of questions. Ah, are there any coupon codes? When it comes to coupons, the internet's funny because a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with doing this. You want to make a purchase from a brand, and you search the brand name and put in coupon or discount code. What pops up are these coupon websites. Sometimes they have real coupons on them, sometimes they don't. And they could care less because they are getting paid for the traffic. They'll have advertisements popping up all over that site, and advertisers pay for each impression. So they're getting paid no matter what. So they could care less whether or not the coupon codes are valid. You will rarely see coupon codes for our brand. Because it's a frozen food, the profit margin is low. And we haven't quite figured out how to make it affordable and still stay in business. We're doing our best. We're staying in business just barely. We won't go out of business. Don't worry. If we have to, we raise our prices to stay in business, and that may or may not. I've been holding back on that lately. Our numbers have when I'm talking numbers, I'm not talking about sales. I'm talking about profit. We've been able to pay everyone's salaries, but we haven't seen increase at our current levels, which is confusing me a little bit because I guess we just keep on getting hit with all kinds of new bills. And we've been like this for the past few years now, just kind of staying level and saying, man, I don't want to raise prices. I gotta, negotiate better when it comes with our box prices and our supply costs and our shipping costs. And we're doing our best. But over the past few years, everything's gone up and we haven't, but we might have to. So we don't do coupons much. See, sometimes you'll find them on those coupon sites and you get upset because they don't work, because we don't really have coupons. Now, little secret here, I do have a podcast, the Dr. Haley Show podcast, and a separate website for that, drhaley.com or drhaley.com. And I've been releasing about one podcast per week, sometimes two a week. And usually in there, hidden in each podcast, is a coupon. It's not always going to be used for the aloe. Doesn't necessarily always include the aloe vera. Sometimes it does. And when it does, it's usually a smaller coupon because there's just a low profit margin. So you're not going to find significant coupons for the aloe. But we do hide coupon codes in the podcasts. Usually one coupon code that'll work for the whole month. So there's the coupon spiel. Any ideas about recycling the bottles since we can't get the buckets at this time? No, unfortunately. Not outside putting them in the bin. It is a recyclable bottle. That's the one thing I loved about the bucket. We didn't even have to use styrofoam. We could just put it in the box. It was supposed to melt on the way to you. And then you could distribute it into the same bottles and use them over and over and over again. But we can't do that now. And we might bring it back someday. It makes, it's for those reasons, it made a lot of sense for a lot of people. And also there's a good savings on it because these dang empty bottles are so darn expensive. And we have to charge for them now when you get your aloe in the bottles. But the bottles cost more than the bucket and the bag. So it is what it is. And of course, when we ship the bottles, we have to buy styrofoam too. And that's an issue. Our styrofoam is recycled. The problem with that is you can only recycle styrofoam one time. And so we're getting it where our styrofoam, by the time you get it, it can't be recycled. I think that's probably about it. I'm looking to see if I didn't answer any questions now. So if you still have some, put them in the feed. Let me check the email for the people that replied to the email message that I sent out. Here, let's see. Oh, just someone saying thank you for doing this. And not another question. This is one that has come up over the years. Can only one bottle be purchased due to the expense and size of the freezer? People have this, especially when they're in New York with their tiny freezers. And so the reason we don't do, well, let me check. You have your zip code put in there. Let me see where that is. 22902. So the issue we have with one bottle is it melts too fast. There's other issues as well. meaning if we ship out one bottle, the styrofoam costs $5. If we ship out two bottles, the styrofoam costs $5. Still, it's the same. If we ship four bottles, our styrofoam cost goes up by 25 cents. So $5.25. So we really want people to get four bottles. And if they go up to eight, there's additional cost savings. Now, we discount the bottles when you get four because we're saving so much on the styrofoam. So it makes it something we can do. The other issue is the shipping cost. The box size with the styrofoam, there's something called dimensional shipping. So if I ship one bottle to you, you're going to pay dimensional shipping on two bottles. If I ship two bottles to you, again, dimensional shipping on two bottles, which it's a 9.5 pound package where you're going to be paying for an 11-pound package. Either way, whether you get one bottle or two bottles. So what ends up happening is you pay double the cost for shipping if you're only ordering one bottle at a time. Because there's only one bottle, it's going to melt fast. And chances are, especially if you're in a 3-day delivery zone, you're going to have to pay additional shipping to get it to you in 2 days. So what ends up happening, you pay so much more to get it there that additional day, a day faster, so it doesn't melt too fast. You should have just take the two bottles, and if you don't have a place for it, throw it away, or give it to somebody, because you're paying so much more for the shipping, and it's just, it doesn't work out for that reason. That is why we don't ship single bottles. It doesn't make sense. It melts too fast, and it costs the same as shipping two bottles. If you are in Florida, there's a lot of places that carry our aloe. And there's a few other places throughout the country. There's a store locator. You can stop in and pick up one bottle. How come we're not in a lot of stores? Because it's a raw product, and people aren't necessarily allowed to purchase raw and resell. When you buy from us, you're getting it directly from the farm. So it's a farm to consumer situation. But we're responsible for what happens to that raw product. There's a confusion in that when it goes to the store, and are they keeping it at the right temperature and what's going on. Some people will choose to carry it anyway, especially if they have physicians. Physicians seem to be able to make their own rules. And also people with raw food preparation licenses seem to have some kind of authority beyond the grocery store ability. So that's why you won't necessarily find it in a lot of food grocery stores, is because the farm to consumer on the raw. You might find raw aloe vera for pet consumption someday. We haven't sold it that way yet. If we ever do, if you ever see Stockton aloe #1 for pets only, it's going to be the exact same standard as this, but it'll only be for pets though, because we're not allowed to sell for human consumption raw from us to the grocery store, and from the grocery store to you. What if the product is not still frozen when it arrives? We suggest that it will not be frozen in the summertime, especially if you're in a 3-day delivery zone, unless you buy bigger amounts. The bigger amounts still have a little bit of frozen aloe. I recently have got some juice detox type things, from frozen juices from a place called Pulp and Press. And just like us, it was neat having the experience of buying something frozen that was delivered melted, but still cold. What did I do with it? I'm in the business. I put it right in the freezer, except for the ones I'm going to use in the next few days. And it's the same thing that you want to do with our aloe when it arrives melted. But it should still be cold. If it shows up warm, you don't know how warm it got and how long it was warm for. So our goal is to get it to you still cool or still cold. I understand. God will provide for me, Dr. Jack Krause. Want me to move closer to the equator? Ecuador. Well, all things are possible with God. Yes, yes. Pray you will. Thank you. We'll pray for your family and your work. Thank you so much. That means the world to us. I think that is it. Funny little hey, Bad Byron's is getting a free plug here. They sent me a T-shirt with my butt rub barbecue seasoning. Thank you to Bad Byron's. And butt rub is something I actually found in Costco, and I like to put it on our air French fries. But lately I've been putting it in when I make a pot roast. It's delicious. So they have sponsored today. No, they didn't sponsor today, but they did send me a T-shirt with my last order. I was bummed that I couldn't get Bad Byron's in Costco anymore, so I had to go to their website and order it. No, they're not a sponsor. They didn't pay me. All right. Anything else? I want to thank you for joining us today, and there will be a rebroadcast for anyone that couldn't make it.